up next, the Trump administration is trolling journalists in a kind of hilarious but questionable way. The story here is about the press team at the White House, Caroline Leavitt and other people who interact with reporters and journalists, because they've announced a new policy where they will be ignoring any reporter who contacts them and has pronouns in their bio or their email signature, like she, her, they, them, he, him, which is always kind of like a red flag that this person is probably a pretty hardcore social justice liberal. Whenever I get an email with pronouns in bio, I give a little side eye. But yeah, this policy is quite something, that they'll be ignoring any media inquiry from people with the pronouns in the bio. Take a listen to this summary of the news from Sky News.
White House will no longer respond to reporters who list their preferred gender pronouns in their email signatures. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has said that she doesn't respond to journalists with these sorts of pronoun announcements because, and I quote, "It shows they ignore scientific realities and therefore ignore facts."
So it won't surprise you that this is not going over well with mainstream media and many prominent journalists. The New York Times, for example, said in a statement, "Evading tough questions certainly runs counter to transparent engagement with free and independent press reporting," a Times spokesperson said in a statement. But refusing to answer a straightforward request to explain the administration's policies because of the formatting of an email signature is both a concerning and baffling choice, especially from the highest press office in the U.S. government. Meanwhile, journalist Jesse Singal wrote this on Twitter. "Remember how some of us on the left criticized fashionable leftism and liberalism for being obsessed with fundamentally meaningless symbolism at the expense of people's material well-being? Anyway, totally unrelated, that just popped into my head for some reason." And this was in response to the story that the Trump administration is refusing to respond to reporters who have pronouns in email signatures. So this kind of reminded me of the thing that Elon Musk did, where he set a auto reply to press inquiries to Twitter to just respond to journalists with a poop emoji. Yeah, seriously, that's a thing that happened. You can go back and look it up. But it's on one level funny, okay? Obviously, I think putting your pronouns in your bio is cringe. It is the kind of virtue signaling or signaling allegiance to a certain political tribe that makes many people understandably roll their eyes. But this level of trolling at the White House press office, to me, is kind of absurd and comes off as unserious. You don't have the right to dictate to reporters what they can put in their bio, and I certainly wouldn't be comfortable with, for example, a Democratic White House doing the opposite and saying, "We will only reply to reporters who have pronouns in their bios," and they could try to force the Fox News journalists who they take inquiries from. And despite what you may hear, they did take many inquiries from them during the Biden administration. Well, they're only going to respond to you if you put pronouns in your bio. So they're going to use their leverage as the White House to bully people into going along with the pronoun madness. I mean, if Trump's people can do this, then they can do that next time they're in charge. I just think maybe don't do this. Maybe don't die on this hill. Maybe focus on things that are more meaningful and substantive and improve people's lives rather than stuff that's funny. I mean, it's kind of hilarious, but it's petty. It's juvenile. It comes off as unserious. I mean, seriously, think about this. Places like the New York Times have complained that their reporters are being ignored because of this. And as much as the New York Times is obviously biased, as much as clearly they root for one side, a lot of them, they produce some ridiculous articles and stories and op-eds, there are still a lot of serious journalists at papers who cover the entire globe, who cover issues of national security, who have very highly ranked sources. You're telling me that if they contact the press office with a big story about national security, about some foreign affairs, about something involving a diplomat, something involving a top cabinet member, y'all are going to ignore it and not comment because of pronouns in the bio? That's ridiculous. Like, that's not serious. That's not the way to run a government. Now, you can say the pronouns are a joke, the pronouns are unserious, they should change, sure, but they don't have to. And you're the White House and you're the press office and you're supposed to be doing your job for the American people, even if that means dealing with people who you think are silly or who they still have millions of readers. They're still massively influential. So just ignoring them and try to control their speech like this, it's a stretch to me. It's kind of absurd to me, and I don't support it. It is, however, like so many of the things that Trump does that go too far, kind of hilarious. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Are you with the Trump team on this one? Let me know in the comments.